Can you hear me? Chaz Smith is connected.
You
Talk to
hear
me.
me? You
I
hear me?
hear you.
Son of a bitch. Why is this
How
so hard, David Lee Scales?
how much effort did this take?
Are you kidding me? This is a over 24-hour process of like sweating trying to find internet anywhere I could. And here we are.
I wanted to complain. I was going to tell the people like how miserable this job is. And then I realized this is the easiest job in the world. If the worst thing that we have to complain about is international travel and having a hard time finding Wi-Fi while we're both half in the bag with family on vacation, it's not the worst thing.
I mean, that is literally, though, you hit the nail on the head of trying to find Wi-Fi with family, half in the bag while on vacation. And then now I've left even the family behind and had to run and find more Wi-Fi. It's alone.
Break it down. Explain what we've gone through. Yesterday we were scheduled to record 24 hours ago. You were in Mexico and that didn't work. I think you're on day 28 of vacation, it seemed.
Yeah, I was on day 28. It did not work. Somehow I just tried again to get on my computer. I think my computer has a bug. It does not work with Zoom anymore. I got to sort that out. That's another major problem that I have to solve. But yeah, it didn't work. And then raced away first thing this morning back to LA, where I'm spending one quick night at the airport hotel and getting on a flight headed to hurricane ravaged New York first thing in the morning on the way to Rome. And I'm getting multiple emails that as ain't gonna work.
What are you doing in Rome?
Taking a train to Naples, where I am getting on a sailboat and cruising around the Amalfi Coast and then going to a wedding.
Amazing. Is your family coming to the wedding?
No, and I don't know the dude getting married. And yeah, it was a half-baked plan basically to get a sailboat that bro wanted to test, and it just ballooned out of proportion where it actually worked.
So is he buying the sailboat there?
No, he just wanted to test one.
Gotcha.
And it happened to be their cousin of a friend was getting married. And so I was like, oh, opportunity. But then it accidentally ballooned into something that was way more extreme than it should have been.
Sounds pretty glamorous.
It is pretty glamorous, gotta say.
Cersei told me one time, you weren't nearby, but she was like, she said she wants to earn enough money so that she could live the life that you and her children live.
That's really rude. I mean,
that's what she was like. She's like, if I just keep going, if I just keep working, maybe one day I could live like Chaz and Hemi.
It is really, really makes me so sad. It makes me so sad.
By the way, did I ever tell you Lauren lived on the Amalfi Coast?
Where?
Positano.
Did I ever tell you that Positano is one of my favorite towns on the face of the earth?
Clearly, we've never had this conversation.
Apparently not. I did a hot 7 days in Positano, the younger me, when I didn't know anything, stumbled into Positano and thought, this is absolute paradise.
Yeah, I think that's why she lived there.
I mean, how long did she live there for?
A year.
Lauren's got good taste, A, and B, does Positano scales ever come into the...
I'm going to push for it. I have a feeling that's an option, and it is a perfect segue into our first topic.
Let's hit it.
So I pitched the name Val last week.
Yeah.
And the universe aligned because apparently Val Kilmer has a documentary coming out by A24. A24, the production company.
Which A24 only does epic stuff.
I love A24.
Yeah,
I love. Did you ever see A Ghost Story?
Of course. I think
How'd you like it?
Loved it. If A24 does anything, I love it.
Yeah. The first time I watched it, I must have been half watching and I didn't get it and it seemed really slow. And then I rewatched it a month ago and I was like, A Ghost Story is honestly one of the best films I've seen in years.
Yeah. A24 has done nothing wrong, I don't think.
Ever. And the fact that they're doing I don't know that I've seen a lot of documentaries from them, but then the fact that it's about Val Kilmer, and that landed a day or two after we published that episode. And I'm like, This is the universe. This is kismet.
I mean, was Lauren swayed by, because
No.
it was a fantastic poster for the Val. It was
Yeah.
Rebel. What was it?
I forget.
Movie, whatever it was. And it was four great words. It was Rebel was in there.
I sent that to her. She gave me a thumbs down on the Instagram DM. And then, but we haven't started. I happened to be watching a Val Kilmer document or a movie that day, but it was a terrible one with Elizabeth Shue. I think it was called The Saint. And so like that wasn't a good introduction. Yeah. So I really need to go and do what we said. We'll watch the documentary, then we'll do Heat, then we'll do Tombstone. And if that doesn't work, Positano.
I mean, totally. If she's not swayed on Tombstone at the end of this arc after Heat, documentary, Heat, Tombstone. If she's not swayed on Tombstone, then fine. Like
then she just has bad taste.
I mean, if you're not stinking Doc Holliday, Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday is peak cinema.
He should have retired. It was the role he was born to play. Should have retired, and that's all we need to know from him. But a listener emailed and said, "I need your help selling my wife on my firstborn son's name. I want his nickname to be Ozzy, so we could name him Oswald, Oscar, Osborne, Oswaldo. This has nothing to do with Ozzy Osbourne. I just think the name is rad. But is it too aggro? Will he grow up with people thinking that he is a bat biter? You'd be wise to discuss this on air because you'll reflect on this moment 20 years down the road when he's a top C tier and you guys are both discussing him weekly at that point." And so I'll leave it there. What do you think?
This is why, David Lee Scales, this is why we have a podcast. We should honestly have a call-in radio show. We'd be better at that because I feel we can solve any problems automatically. Stick a name in Australia. Done and dusted. Boom.
So it's Aussie, Aussie.
I mean, either that or just call him Oz. I mean, Oz is OZ half the time, right? And so his name is Australia. Done and dusted. Like, what's the last name?
Australia. I don't know.
It doesn't even matter. Australia, whatever, is like an epic name. And then you call him Ozzy. Done and dusted.
I think this is genius. It's a stroke of genius. And the wife can't argue with this. Because
no.
Like, I like the name Ozzy as a nickname, but I was thinking of the more formal versions. Oswald, I don't love. No. Oscar, I don't love. Osborne's okay, I guess.
None of them are that cool.
But
Australia's cool as a name.
Yeah, is a cool name.
Australia's a cool name, and then you got a cool nickname, Ozzy. And so when he goes by Ozzy, and they say, "What's your name?" and he says Australia, he throws everybody off. Everybody's blown away by the awesomeness. Done and dusted, right there.
Does it matter where in the world he lives?
No, it doesn't matter where, especially if he's like, if Dad is calling him a top CT surfer, just think how sick Australia, in quotes, Aussie is going to be.
You make a fantastic point because Aussie Wright already has. I always think about this with people naming their kids. They're really into surfing, so they name their kid Kelly or they name their son Dane. And I'm like,
Taj, stinking Taj.
Yeah,
how many Tajes?
I'm like, I get it. You're into surfing. However, we already have a Taj. We don't need another Taj. How are you? The fact that Dane Reynolds somehow even like kind of pushed aside Dane Kealoha was so unlikely. That never will happen again.
That's called cultural appropriation is what that's called.
I guess so. Yeah. But there can't be another Dane now. Unfortunately for Dane Gudauskas, he has to be the lesser of the three Gudauskas brothers because there's already two other Danes in surfing. Same thing with Kelly. Freaking Yago Dora should have just stopped at Yago because we already have a Dora that we know. So we just now need to refer to him as Yago only because Dora is already cemented in our brain. There can only be one Kelly,
But imagine Australia on tour. How much, especially if Australia was American.
That's the thing. It's a brand new name.
If Australia was American, it would even be way better.
He's got it nailed. You nailed it for him.
Yeah. I mean, if he can't kick this through the wife, Australia, then again, major malfunction. Major malfunction.
Yeah. She's listening right now. I'm sure he's going to force her to listen.
Good. I hope. I mean, wife, Australia as your boy's name, you don't get any better. And I've never met an Australia, to be honest.
I never have either, but it's a cool name.
Yeah.
We've
Love it.
met Paris, we've met London, we've met, what other cities have we met? Sydney.
Sydney, lots of Sydneys. We've met, probably met a Melbourne somewhere.
Sydney Siders.
Yeah. But no, Australia, especially if it has a short nickname. If it has a long, I mean, I'm sorry, if he has a short last name. If he has a long last name, it might be a bit harder, but Australia Smith, Australia Scales, Australia.
But again, he's going to go by Aussie.
Sure.
He only busts out Australia when he wants to really like woo the ladies.
Sure. And when he's in the TSA line, like I just was.
Exactly. So he went on to say, after I asked him a couple of other questions, he said that his wife was vehemently opposed, but after 8 months of torture, it's grown on her. And all of his idiot friends are already calling the kid Aussie. So he thinks that it's gonna stick. He's just worried about the stigma and whether or not she'll, commit to a formal name, or maybe they'll just name the kid Aussie. But we obviously already solved it for him.
Solved it for him. And also, you never name your kid a nickname. You name your kid the name and then call him whatever nickname you want. But the kid has a proper name. To be named a nickname robs you of a name.
Gotcha. Okay, good work. See, so what I was going to complain about at the beginning of our travel schedules not aligning. It's 8:00 my time. I'm in Texas right now. You're in Los Angeles. So it's 6:30 your time, 8:30 my time. And the last text I said was, hey, this has been chaotic, but we need to at least get on air and say hello to the people. And this is the good work that happens, because it would have been so easy just to be like, dude, I'm tired. It's 8:30 my time. I just had dinner. Everybody wants to hang out. It's easy to push it off, but the people need us.
It's the work of there's going to be a Little Australia now coming up the CT ranks. And it's going to be thanks to this work that we have done tonight.
It would have been so easy for us to just be like, you know what, let's push it off a week.
Are you kidding? We can't do, I mean, I totally hear you, but we cannot do that. And I feel I'm standing in the airport stressed, not stressed about the hurricane riddled flight I'm supposed to catch tomorrow, not stressed about leaving my family behind, not stressed about anything but letting the people down.
I know, because naming a kid, I mean, the name, man, like it really does dictate the rest of your life. It dictates the jobs that you're going to have, the way that people treat you, all this sort of stuff. And this kid could have gotten a lesser name.
Sure, but now he'll be Australia, Aussie.
I know.
Good
I
on
feel
you,
really
Aussie.
good about this work. So a couple of DMs just came through about some salacious gossip on Instagram. Usually I vet this stuff, obviously before just reading it on air, but I haven't even read it to myself because I've been in conversation with you. Should I read it aloud to you?
Let's do it. This is cancel time right here.
The Instagram account Hydrodynamica, which is Richard Kenvin's Instagram account out of San Diego, California, posted a screenshot. Joel Tudor messaged or commented on his Instagram account, and it says, one of these days I'll make good on that $5,000 you burned me for. Every time you take a surf trip or get a new quiver, remind yourself of the $15,000 that we gave you and you never delivered the last 5 of the batch. Biggest kook move on the earth. Nobody likes thieves.
What is that about?
I guess Joel Tudor ordered 5 boards from Richard Kenvin and Kenvin never delivered.
Well, what do you feel about that?
I have no idea. That's juicy.
Who posted it?
Kenvin screenshotted Joel calling him out and posted it on his own Instagram account. And then Kenvin's wife is chiming in too. And he says Joel Jitsu, Joel rhymes with troll, is what Kenvin posted in the comment section. I don't know if this is even juicy gossip. I don't even feel right talking about it.
But we can get to the bottom of this real quick. If Kenvin is screenshotting it and posting it on his own Instagram, then he clearly feels he delivered on whatever promise. Like if he actually felt he aggrieved Tudor in some way, then he would not screenshot it and post it on his own Instagram, right?
I guess.
So
he's trying to control the narrative.
I mean, do you think I feel in general, surfers are not that smart yet to game the narrative.
Maybe
Trump
not.
style.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that what we see is what we get. And so if some dude is posting something, then whether he was right or not is immaterial. He feels he was right. Right.
Yeah.
So he
True.
felt that
True.
he didn't do Joel a dirty. Joel felt that he got it done dirty though. And so Joel may be right. I'm not saying that Joel's not right. I'm just saying that Kenvin feeling he's right is something.
So Michelle, Kenvin's wife, said, you know, how many times we told you that we'd settle the 5K debt for the poor Japanese billionaire that didn't get his boards? Kenvin or Richard then chimed in and said, you did everything you could to prevent me from making a living. You slandered me and lied about me on your massive platform for 10 years. I have your money. It's almost immaterial to me. Like, obviously, you're right. Both feel that they are justified in the business deal that went south. What's kind of crazy to me, and is a story that is worth discussing between you and I, is that Joel Tudor goes nuts on Instagram. Like, Joel Tudor, it's actually super entertaining to follow. He calls people out. He slings mud left and right. He does not give a crap. He feels like he's fully justified. I'm sure that he's wrong, if not 50% of the time, 80% of the time, but he feels that he is an expert on everything and he's just slinging mud. And I have a feeling that he is the Trump that you're talking about. He knows, like, I don't give a crap. And this is all pure entertainment for me. So I'm just going to smash my thumbs into the keyboard and say salacious things.
With the massive platform that Joel Tudor has, as referenced, does Joel Tudor truly have a massive platform?
No, he doesn't. I mean, I'll look it up. 150 maybe Instagram followers?
I'm going to say 55.
167,000.
Oh, oops. I was off by 100, but whatever.
167. But that's not massive. That's massive in the surf community.
Is it though? But I mean, is that like every longboarder on the face of the earth? So if somebody's into alternative surf craft, does Joel Tudor control their narrative?
Yeah, he does. They worship at the feet of Joel. I mean, what is it? DOJs, devotees of Joel.
Oh, really? There's DOJs?
Yeah, there's a thing. Yeah, there's DOJs.
It's a hashtag, or what is it?
I don't know. It's just a thing. But yeah, devotees of Joel that just bow at the feet.
Like everything. I mean, good on Joel, I gotta say, for across the board, for being interesting, for continuing to be, to make content and to not longboard very much anymore.
He's interesting to me. Like, the fact that he even cares enough, like, because he is certainly curating a persona online, and spending a ton of time, online doing this on Instagram. And it's fascinating to me that he cares that much.
So like bros like this, to what end? Like, to what end?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I guess that's the
to collect paychecks from Vans.
I mean, I guess that's the whole point of social media though, right? Like, it can be to an end, but it also can be to absolutely no end at all. Like, you can just be doing it because you like to do it.
I guess so. Well, hey, we touched on it.
Are you team Kenvin or team Tudor here with the absolute lack of information that we have?
I'm like, if you ask me off air and I'm Kenvin, like, who do I sympathize with in terms of like the way that they've structured their life or their values and all that sort of stuff? Kenvin. But in terms of like entertainment, Joel's great. I like having Joel around.
I mean, this is stinking. Well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to invite them both up to the Ultimate Surfer watch party.
Perfect.
And like, buy their drinks all night and make them stand next to each other, and they can work this out there while watching Zeke Lau take his first step to winning the Ultimate Surfer.
I have a feeling both of them will decline our invites.
They won't.
For entirely separate reasons.
They will not. It'll be a fun night. Did you see the Instagram teaser today?
I saw it thanks to you. I have not been on my phone, so anything that happened in the last 24 hours, I haven't seen, other than people DMing that to me right now. And I opened my phone at one point, and that was the only thing I saw was you posted the Ultimate Surfer trailer.
How epic is it?
It's it's blasphemous to surfing, but it is exactly what I would want it to be. Like, honestly, we said it when we announced that this was going to be a show. I think I said, or you said, the only way it'll actually work as a show is if it's dramatic. Like if there's actual drama with people trying to have sex with other people and all that sort of stuff. If it's just about surfing, it won't actually work on ABC. So if it's going to be on ABC, it needs to be taking pages out of The Bachelor and pages like, I mean, The Ultimate Fighter, they weren't sleeping with each other, but there was drama in the house. So we need drama in the house. And
But
that's the way that the trailer looked.
They clearly did not get drama in the house, because the episode, or I mean, in the trailer, they're like, hey, we brought a bunch of sexy singles in. So there's apparently a time where they bring from who knows where, this is Lemoore, California, lest no one forget. They bust in sexy singles from who knows where
I don't think
to
there would be
Lemoore.
sexy singles in Lemoore.
There's not one sexy single in Lemoore. I'll say that there may be one, but gosh, she gets out of Lemoore, or he gets out of Lemoore as soon as he can. So they bust people up from LA or down from San Francisco to Lemoore. So clearly there was and they tried to spruik the Mason Barnes, who nobody knows anyway, and Malia Ward thing in there, if you watched it. So Malia Ward, Mason Barnes, nobody knows Mason Barnes, nobody cares about Mason Barnes, and then had Koa, somebody saying, ooh, there's definitely sparks there. But like, if that's all they got, and then busting sexy singles in, there's nothing there. This is going to be, but again, people in the comments were looking forward to the watch party, and I am fully committed to this watch party.
All right, we got to schedule it. What are the dates? It's August.
I mean, thankfully, unlike a CT event, it'll be scheduled. It's like August 16th or something like that. So all we need to do is find a host bar.
Nomads in San Clemente is what we thought about originally.
Okay, and do you have a bro there?
Yeah, a buddy of mine was, I don't know if he's still an owner, but he was a founding owner. So I'll check in with him.
Okay, we need to, I feel San Clemente is neutral ground from the San Diego. People drive up 30 minutes. People will drive down 30 minutes. Take the train. It's got a train station if you want to get boozy at the watch party. So we're all good in San Clemente.
Yep.
But I am fully committed to the watch party.
Okay, cool. Let's do it. Yeah, it looked more entertaining than I expected it to, I'll be honest. But you're right. Now that you say that, it did look like they're obviously amping up all of the most salacious bits go out there, and they weren't actually that salacious. I thought they were teasing a bigger thing, but you're right. They took the smallest thing and made it look like it was.
That's the biggest thing they got with Kelly Slater at the end, and the fact that they have. Oh, I don't think Kelly says it, but whoever says, Jesse Palmer, the failed NFL quarterback, says, you are the best surfers in the United States of America. The fact that the WSL is behind this and is claiming that people that have failed time and time again, Zeke Lau wins. Spoiler for everyone. Zeke Lau is legit a great surfer and a CT quality surfer. He is the only one there that is a CT quality surfer. But to call that group the best surfers in the United States of America, it'd be like the NBA, honestly. Going out and getting some playground dudes and saying, you are the best basketball players in America, while you have stinking Devin Booker and stinking everybody else, Steph Curry, LeBron James, looking on at the NBA, calling these dudes who kind of scrap and stuff the best basketball players in America. And the fact that the WSL does that is ridiculous. How does the WSL let that copy go out?
Well, it's disingenuous. It's because the WSL doesn't have integrity in that way. They're trying to sell eyeballs. And so that headline of saying you're the best surfers in the United States is going to potentially bring more eyeballs.
But you got John Florence, Kaloha Andino, stinking every one of the
Well,
Coffins, every one of the Gadauskases. You got a bunch
every,
sitting there.
but you even saying
Dane
Zeke Lau's a CT quality surfer. He's a low tier CT quality surfer. Like
Low
he got
tier.
bumped off the CT. You know?
Low tier. I mean, I think Zeke Lau on his in a run could be a mid-tier CT quality surfer. Zeke Lau could end. Think Taylor Knox. Dream Taylor Knox.
No. Taylor
Dream,
Knox is way gnarlier. You look at Taylor Knox footage, she would have smoked Zeke.
But dream with me a bunch of years where there's 18 to 12 finishes. That's what I think Zeke is. Like 10 years, 18 to 12.
Right. Yeah, I guess I would say more like 20 to 32, but right alongside a list of 200 names.
Obviously.
You know, like, yeah, that on their given day, they slightly move ahead of one another. But
sure.
yeah,
exactly. A mid-tier CT surfer, but he's the only one on that list. We talked about it last episode. Love to death every surfer on there that I know. Luke Davis, love him. Stinking Koa Smith, love him. Right? As a person, as a personality, I love what they do.
Of course.
Fun. I don't know. Stinking Mason Barnes. Malia Ward is fun and interesting. Anastasia Ashley, God bless her, fantastic. Right? Like they're like, I've got nothing against anybody that I know on that show. But my goodness, if that trailer wasn't straight up parody, then nothing is parody.
It's a great point. I mean, parody is a good call. You want to talk about another mid-tier CT surfer that was big in the news this past week that we were directly related to? Caio Abelli signs big sponsorship deal with Rusty.
The people delivered.
The people didn't even get a thanks.
No, I know, it's kind of a bummer.
Not even a mention. I mean, I had everybody. I had from Devin Howard through to Surfboard Shapers that are like through to our listeners, everybody DM me and be like, I fully believe that you guys are partially responsible for this deal happening. And it's kind of bizarre that you didn't even get a mention.
I mean, it's okay. Selflessness here. And I'm happy for Caio that Rusty's a fantastic brand, right? Always liked Rusty. The RDOT, good, etc., etc. Don't need one, to be honest. That's not why we ever got in this game. We can all like doff our caps in Caio's way and say, good on you, Caio, and may your future be bright.
Look, when we complain about the WSL, it's not because I feel personally slighted. It's because I see that the WSL could have made better decisions in either where to hold events or whatever. And that's what I'm discussing here is I don't feel personally slighted by Caio. I see this as the greatest missed opportunity of his own ever is there's all of these people who put money into your pocket, who got online to rally you. And ultimately, to be honest, he didn't really execute. Like he kind of failed.
No, he failed. He failed majorly.
Yeah, he failed majorly. He did slightly better through Australia, but never even made a quarterfinals, you know? And so all these people kind of, they enjoyed doing it for the sake of doing it. But what you really could have done at that point, Caio, is when you signed the big contract within 2 months after, turn around to all the people and be like, hey, fan base, thank you so much for bolstering me and pushing me up. This really helped with my optics and all that sort of stuff to sign this big deal. I just saw it as a missed opportunity for him.
Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, I think Caio definitely though, but I don't think Caio ever understood it from day one.
It's a good point. It's a great point.
We pushed this thing on Caio and Caio was like, oh wait, it's not like Caio was like, said, hey, could you guys get me some support? We chose Caio randomly, partially because Caio is a full-on random, right? Caio is not your surfer that you're ever going to pick as, whatever. He was like a layman surfer.
Right. But he also became a working class hero on his own merits.
Precisely. And so he did all that. And then we kicked this thing onto Caio and then good on him. Like Caio's gone on to bigger and better, but we have to do it again, smarter, better, but I think I think everybody who kicked into Caio shouldn't feel slighted that Caio doesn't recognize or mention. People should think, That was us. Everybody, literally, that's the only reason this happened.
It worked.
Caio Abelli is not a marketable surfer. He's not an interesting surfer. It fully worked. What we did worked. Yeah. And what we did worked. What the people did worked. Like
Jay Martinez.
Yeah. It worked.
What our listener Jay Martinez put together into a cohesive document that allowed or actually sent the seed email that I read to you, then put together, and then the people rallied around it. We just read the emails and set up the GoFundMe. But yeah, I agree. That is a great point.
And now Caio gets to go do his thing, and that's great. And nobody was ever going to participate in that anyway. And so good on the process. But we need to figure it out again. We need to do Project Abelli was 1.0. We got to figure out a 2.0 for next year. Which listeners?
I've got ideas.
Okay, yeah.
Listener email says, Scale Smith, I'm sure that you are aware selling ads, we, the viewer, his first sentence doesn't make sense. Let me just sum it up for him. He's saying, for the WSL, you and I, as the viewer, are the product. We're not the consumer. We are the product of the WSL. He says, quote, the WSL is trying to sell eyeballs, and you, as the core, have shown that you will watch anything that is surfing. We gripe and we complain, but we still watch. If you are part of the core, you have already been sold. The WSL has no financial incentive to even listen to your gripes because you watch. By discussing it, even disparagingly, you are driving viewership to them. If you really want to help surfing, stop watching the WSL and stop discussing the WSL. Figure out a way to support some other group that wants to keep surfing core. I know it's not possible for you guys as your business is surfing, but if the core wants to see a change, then stop following the WSL. Create a boycott. If the WSL loses the core, they won't have any numbers at all, and they won't be able to sell anything. Keep up the good work. Love your podcast, Kevin.
Love Kevin. Thought long and hard about this. Long and hard, Kevin.
I have to.
And I totally agree with you that at some point we have the power to do that. I feel like, I don't know it's all smoke and mirrors, right? So I don't know exactly what their numbers are, but I feel if we really thought, let's honestly do this. Let's strip their viewership base entirely. Let's do boycott parties. Let's, where anytime the WSL is on, nobody posts about it, et cetera, et cetera. I would imagine we could really knock them pretty hard. At this point, though, they damn it, Kevin, they still entertain me with their foibles and weirdness still. Like it's a funny storyline.
Yeah, and I think Kevin doesn't necessarily fully understand my intention. Like, my intention isn't to dismantle the WSL. Like, I still see that there is opportunity to right the ship. And I feel like it's more our ship than it is theirs. And I said that, I think, last time we recorded, which is why we don't give advice to Billabong or Quicksilver or anybody else. Is like, that's their business. They have a right to run their business however they want. I feel like professional competitive surfing is ours. It's yours, it's mine. It's because we followed it for 30 years. It's the WSL is new to it comparatively to since we've been invested in it. And so I feel like our criticisms aren't to sink the ship. It's to right the ship. It's to say, hey, you guys, you're kind of missing the point. And if you don't right the ship, you're going to not have a fiscally viable business, which you currently don't. You're not going to, and you're going to abandon the core, and you're never going to access that larger audience. So if you kind of listen to us and cater to the core, this is the only thing that's worth bottling and selling is, man versus nature, the best surfers in the best waves. It's as simple as that. So run everything through that matrix and make those decisions. And so our gripes are to remind them of those things. They're not just to gripe and complain and try to sink the ship. I'm not talking crap for the sake of talking crap. I'm talking crap to kind of be like, hey, we're all kind of brethren here, and let's be critical so that we can run a better business ultimately.
I'm going to say though, at iteration 5.0 or whatever of what the World Surf League is, it's unredeemable. It is an unredeemable product. And if there was anything even bubbling on the surface that could be a fun thing where we could all watch together, I would definitely rise up and like do mass boycott of the WSL and try to whatever we could do to sink the WSL. Like, I think the WSL is unredeemable. I think there's the only reason it works.
So is the Ultimate Surfer that?
I mean, it's unredeemable. All of it is unredeemable. The Ultimate Surfer is.
Should we boycott the Ultimate Surfer? It's kind of what I mean.
No.
Like all of these all these tangential kind of things that they're trying, I feel like are boycottable.
Of course, we should pour into every one of them, I think, for our own entertainment, because we're getting entertained on this, right? Like,
yeah.
I have fun doing it. You have fun doing it. I think the people have fun doing it. Everybody's having fun. If somebody, though, rose up and said, hey, I have a viable, small, it's going to be hard yards, but if we get behind this thing, this could work as a better version of competitive surfing, then I'd be all day, every day, like friggin' boycott the WSL. Like, no post in the WSL, no mention of the WSL, no mention of WSL surfers. Like, I mean, and again, smoke and mirrors. Maybe they're right. Maybe they have millions upon billions of fans around the globe, but I don't think they do. And I think that if we committed to boycotting, that we could really hurt their bottom line. There's just nothing to do that for yet.
Yeah.
Only for the sake of boycotting.
It's true. The reason why they do have fans around the world is there's no alternative product.
And I don't think they really do have fans around the world. I think people like tangentially watch through Gabriel Medina's Instagram, right? Like, I think the surfers have fan bases and people watch but nope. Like, I think there's actual fans of the NBA and actual fans of the, of the NHL. And as much as they hate the leagues and organizations, they're still, pro football fans. I don't think there's pro WSL fans in that way, right? Like, where people would be happy to see it go. They wouldn't be happy. They just wouldn't care. Like, as long as there's something else viable.
Yeah. I guess, not to use the same exact analogy all the time, but it's pretty apt, is boxing. There was so much complaints about boxing for, my whole youth growing up. My grandfather would watch every Saturday night, sit in his chair and watch boxing and like bob his head to it as he's watching it, but complain endlessly about
judging.
The judging, the sissification of it, like all of it, like the politicization of it. Thank you. But there was nowhere else to go. It's kind of like, this is the only, but then the UFC came and freaking upset like the entire paradigm. And it's not exactly apples to apples, but it's still fighting. And it was much more catered to the core. Like, again, growing up, watching that, I remember it being on network television, like ABC, it might've been, or NBC. They had the UFC, maybe like 1 through 5. And it was bloody. And it was before they even instituted rules. So people were literally getting punched in the crotch and there was no weight classes and they had to fight 5 times a night. Like Hoist Gracie had to like beat a guy, and then whoever beat somebody over here in their bracket, then they would fight against each other. And by the end of the night, you had to have fought like 3 or 4 times, to take the title that night. And then it got outlawed off of mainstream TV, but the UFC leaned into the pugilism. Like, they didn't say, oh yeah, ABC, we needed that deal. We needed to secure that deal. So we're going to soften it all up and we're going to go mainstream. They just said, no, blood and guts is what it is. And now it's become the biggest thing and way bigger than boxing,
But even back to boxing, your grandpa was not like how many belts there are, right? In terms of like how many boxing governing organizations there are. Your grandpa would never been a fan of one of those, right? He was a fan of boxing as a sport. He wasn't a fan of, when people unite the belts, right? They're not uniting weight class belts. They're uniting the different boxing organization belts. where the WSL is merely one of the organizations that nobody cares about. People care about surfing. WSL could go away entirely. It doesn't even need a UFC. Like, boxing is still great. I mean, I love boxing more than I love UFC, right? Like, the stinking sweet science. I'm not a huge boxing fan, but I like boxing better than I like UFC. But I don't care about any of the governing bodies, where WSL is just a governing body that needs to go away or could go away.
But there's nowhere else for my grandpa to watch surfing.
Yeah,
like
precisely,
in a competitive environment.
But if somebody, I mean, I wish that Gerlach's game actually worked. Like, that was fun, right?
Yeah.
And that was, and I don't know that it was perfect, but it was something different.
Of course not.
That could have worked.
Nothing's perfect right out of the gate. Like, and the WSL's learned that too. Like, you need years and years, if not a decade, to figure out kind of how to work these things. But the problem that kind of we haven't even discussed enough for the WSL is they've never been profitable. It's kind of like, if you guys were laughing your way to the bank, then to never listen to us and just keep cashing the checks. But the fact that it's never been a profitable business, why not shake it up? Why not try something entirely new?
I mean, the fact that, honestly, ABC throws your major show on Monday night at 10 a.m., like more or less an unwatchable 10 p.m., sorry, an unwatchable time slot is something. I mean, I would imagine, you know, I'm rarely right, but I would imagine that nobody watched that show. It's like, doesn't do anything for them either. And it's just like another weird bummer that gives surfing sort of a odd kind of mainstream rinse again, but only to like people who are up like flipping through Kardashians and they stumble upon the Ultimate Surfer.
Ultimately, I agree. This isn't going to sink the ship, and this isn't going to like rise the tide for all the ships.
The problem stinking is too, really honestly, nobody, like, in that trailer, the only people that looked good, like mainstream good kind of, was Koa Smith. Like, everybody else looked fully half-baked in terms of what you're used to seeing. Like, everybody is like, people who like this stuff have a full diet of years and years and years and years and years of bachelors and bachelorettes and all this, where it's like gorgeous people, and that's all they're doing. And then you have people like the people on the Ultimate Surfer are all fine, but they're all kind of real people. And so they had, I don't even know who it was, some girl saying, if I wanted to get kissed, I'd on the teaser. If I wanted to kiss a guy, I'd go on The Bachelor. But you look at her and think, you would never get on any of them. Like, you're a great person. Don't get me wrong. You're fantastic, but you just don't have the luck. Sorry, honey. Like,
once we're dealing in the superficial world of Hollywood casting directors, you would not have made it on that show. Your only reason you're on this show is because you have the surfing. Because
you surf. Precisely, but nobody's going to be looking at your surfing talent at the damn. I love the fact that did you count how many waves they showed in there?
No, but I heard everybody freaking out. So I glanced away from my phone, but I looked back at it and somebody was doing a floater. I was like, that's what and I'm sure the noise was all not for that floater, but even still, the fact that you used a floater as the clip that you're like,
in the teaser, one floater drop at Surf Ranch. Like, that was the one surf clip they showed. I think maybe they showed more, but that's the one that I remember where everybody freaked. That's the only one that people freaked out on. A floater drop at the ranch.
Floater
drop.
The one move we can both do.
Yep, everybody can do. It's the move of the people.
Exactly. Kyle Belli is going to build his campaign on the floater.
He should.
Okay, I got a non-WSL related question. This is a listener email from me to Chaz. I was surfing this last week. Gabriel Medina is arguably the most influential surfer on the planet. If you look at his Instagram following, right? 2-time world champ, like, now lovable, likable guy. But his paddling techniques, the way that he surfs heats, all that sort of stuff, we never see free surf footage of him. All that we see of Gabriel Medina is basically in a heat, and his tactics are rude. Like, they've had to write new rules into the rule book to prevent him from snaking people, essentially. And Kyle Belly burned him at pipe, to win that heat. So my question is about, is this influencing the youth? Because I was surfing this past week and this full beginner, I mean, there was a group of 14 to 16-year-olds that paddle out. I'm sitting out the back waiting for a wave. They're on the inside catching a bunch.
Waiting for priority.
waiting for a set wave, as you do when you're old and you don't want to battle. And they sit on the inside. They're catching a bunch of waves. I can hear them. They're all shouting at each other. They're like, and it started becoming obnoxious to me. These youths showing up, but ultimately a wave came that was kind of sneaking. It wasn't a full set wave, but it was kind of sneaking under me. So I start paddling, trying to get like into this chip angle of it. And one of these young 15-year-old kids sitting on the inside, paddle battles me, like sneaks in front of me and kind of blocks my path. I was coming at an angle to get into the chip, but like paddles in front of me, fully blocks me. And I realized at that point, I can't get this wave if I don't get in on that chip. But now I would just let it go. If nobody was out here, I would let this wave go. But because he's now battling with me, I need to like dig in and kind of get this wave. And then the more it kind of lurched up on the sandbar, it was just going to be a closeout. And he was under me and he was committed and I was going to and so I just backed off, but I was agitated and I wanted to say something to him. And then I paddled back out the back and I thought, well, if another wave comes, I'll burn him to get him back or something like that. But I started thinking about it and I'm like, why was he paddle battling me on a 2-foot closeout? Like this has never happened in my previous 25 years of surfing. This was not okay to do, and nor did it ever even happen because it was a 2-foot closeout at a beach break. Like, what is this paddling tactic that's showing up? And then I thought, well, it's kind of Gabriel. It was a very contest related move, but we're not in a contest. But it's kind of, if all anybody's exposure is through Instagram and watching surf contests and Gabriel Medina is the most influential person in this world, is this the new decorum? Have we abandoned all decency?
I'm going to say, so these kids, did these kids look like they were like in whatever, NSSA style kids?
They were beginners. Like, so then I watch them surf and I had already seen them catch a couple of waves, full beginners. Like they're not riding soft tops. They're riding pointy thrusters, but they were wiggling down the line, get up to their feet and just wiggle down the line and try to do something.
I'm very dubious that any one of them watches WSL.
Really?
I don't think that kids watch pro surfing.
So where does that tactic come from? Because when I was coming up, I learned to just give way, like hang out on the inside and give way over and over and over again. Just get the scraps.
But there's just there's no reason for, like, you backed straight out and didn't say anything to that kid, right? Like the kid, there's no.
It was a crappy wave ultimately.
Completely, but there's no, like, that's where those kids surf and there's zero consequence for them ever doing that. Like they're never going to get shouted down by an old dude anymore. Like everybody's I'm not saying people are too soft, because shouting at a 15-year-old is lame, but also people used to be lame that way, right? Like there used to be, like,
I got shouted at.
Precisely. The whole point of the grumpy local was to do lame stuff, like yelling at kids. I mean, imagine those grumpy locals. They weren't cool guys. They were like crusty weirdos yelling at children. But that kept everything in line. Nobody's doing that anymore. And so that kid can do that all day, every day. And you're not going to do anything. You might burn him again. And then he'll like, to his bros on the inside. But there's going to be no lesson taught, right? You can't beat the kid. You can't, nothing. So I don't think it's Gabriel Medina's fault. I think it's the utter abandonment of anybody, like, of localism. And like, I mean, that's it. Like, where ain't saying it's cool, but it sure was necessary that somebody was creepy enough to like be ready to beat a 12-year-old.
It might be more necessary now than ever.
Precisely, an adult male really taking it on. I'm going to point this kid to the sand and at least have him think that he's going to get a licking.
Did you ever encounter that male?
Of course. Every time I surfed, like, as a kid coming down from Oregon, we'd camp Santa Cruz, and I'd paddle out to the worst. I'd never paddle out, obviously, the lane or anything, but we'd paddle out. I can't even remember, like Cowles or something. And I remember getting all kinds of vibe in the water from old dudes. Like,
I got
just like,
vibed by Anthony Rufo in Santa Cruz at one point. Like, and I was like, I knew who he was, and I was like, I'll shut up. I'll go in, you know?
yeah. Like, what did you do? Did you drop in?
Well, no, but I remember in Newport Beach, I do remember this specific incident because it did scare me. And it's exactly what you're talking about, because I was underage. I was 16 because we were driving to the beach at this point. But I back paddled a dude. I mean, I don't even know that he was local because I never had seen him before, but he was an older, crusty dude who knew what he was doing. And I back paddled him. I'd probably been like just an aggressive paddler anyways. And then this wave came and he was kind of in priority, just like in the spot. But I was like, I can sneak around him. And if I then sneak around him, he'll back off, you know, because I have priority, quote unquote. So I did that and he didn't back off. He was just like, screw you, kid, I'm going. And he went. And so I dropped in behind him and then I kicked my board at him.
Ooh.
Like I knew it wasn't going to hit him. It was all for show. It was just like, oh, I'm angry because I had seen maybe Chris Ward do it in a Lost video or something. So like I kicked my board at him and then I went underwater and he must have kicked out of the wave or whatever. And he looked at me and he was just like, we're going to the beach. And I was like, what? And I think we were already going in at that point anyways. And we were in shallow water and he charged me like fists ready to go, just like fully charged me. And it must have been, he was a 40-year-old man. I was 16 years old and he was angry. And just him charging me, I immediately apologized. I was like, whoa, sorry. Like, I didn't mean it. And I backed off and then he turned away and like paddled back out. But it stopped me from being a dick for the next 10 years. Like it
totally
worked. Completely.
40-year-olds don't go after teenage boys anymore.
But if they do, they have nothing to lose. You know, it's not like he's married and owns $1 million house. Like he's gonna punch you in the face because he got nothing to lose. Yeah.
Nothing, but so that's why kids are backpedaling, or that's why kids are doing what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. The other psychological thing that was funny about that wave was, with me being the older guy in the scenario that I started with, was that I didn't even want the wave. As soon as I saw him paddling into my path, I then dug in. I was like, F you, little kid. Like, I'm now going to show you who's boss. And I saw the thing closing out and I still was like, I'm going to fight him for it.
Yeah. It's a no-win situation. Unless you're going to point a prepubescent kid to the beach, you're stuck.
Totally. Yeah. Which I'm definitely not gonna do. Yeah. I wanted to blame Gabriel Medina.
Nope, ain't his fault. It's our fault.
I guess so.
It's one of us, somebody, listener out there, 40-year-old, take it upon yourself to just bully children.
I'm gonna find our listener base is vast enough. We could find a 40-year-old with nothing to lose in our local environs that we can kind of employ to start bullying kids.
Imagine he could get like Huntington Beach could pay him, like the locals in Huntington could pay him, pool $5,000 to pay him. Hey, come surf here for a day, bully all the kids, send them up to Santa Cruz.
Just Project Bully.
Yeah, Project Bully.
Forget about a belly. Project Bully, and the new cash purse goes to the bullies at our local beach breaks to get the little kids to stop back paddling.
Yep, that's it. Point them to the beach. Yeah,
I like it. This is the other value that we serve is as woke culture gets more and more woke, things get so asinine that we need to reset the topic every once in a while and just be like, hey, masculinity, pragmatism, like those things have practical value in the real world. So let's reassert that.
That's what we're doing. That's all we're doing.
We don't need to go racist. We don't need to go like wife abuser, but just a reasonable amount of pragmatism and a reasonable amount of masculinity serves a purpose.
Bullying children. That's all we're asking children.
For. 40-years beating up 12-years. It's all we're asking for.
That's it.
Reasonable. All right. Should we go to commercial?
Let's do it.
All right. Back from commercial. I'm just going to insert some automatic commercials.
Great.
So we don't have to talk about anything.
Good.
Although I have been drinking my Athletic Greens on vacation.
Me too. Don't you worry. I brought it to Mexico.
All right. Did you bring enough for Europe?
No, but I saved some.
I was going to say, maybe can I ship something to you in Europe?
I'll be on a boat. It'll be hard.
Yeah, that's tough.
It's going to be
You
sad.
have to suffer. You have to suffer.
I'll be sad.
You're going to have to somehow pulverize broccoli and kale into a green powder.
Organic broccoli and kale.
I know. It's going to be source it from New Zealand as well.
I know.
All right. So these Barrel or Nas are coming from listeners this week.
Great.
Barrel or Nah, owning and driving a hearse.
Oh, total barrel. I mean, all you need, I suppose, is Ghostbusters to make this a barrel. Yes, barrel all the way.
Barrel all the way. Can you imagine a better board caddy?
Like a cooler board caddy, and the fact that hearse, not just, I mean, the Ghostbusters hearse was awesome, clearly, but the new caddy hearses are like sweet. I mean,
they really are.
All hearses are good. There's nothing bad about a hearse.
Would you do a used one though?
Anything, sure. I don't care.
I mean, this lands into hauntings and Ouija board category. Like
somehow I feel cars, like modern engineering, dodges like weird Ouija stuff. Like it's a car. A ghost doesn't want to hang around a car.
Well, a ghost can't keep up at 60 miles an hour. Let's get real.
You're like, a ghost just gets bored of going to Arco to get gas and going to Jiffy Lube every now and again. Like it's boring. Being in a car is boring.
I think actually a ghost, it needs drywall. Like a ghost, It needs a foundation. It needs drywall to exist. Like, I mean, and again, back to A24, a ghost story. If a ghost story taught me anything, it's that they actually cannot go in cars. It's that they're kind of confined to living spaces.
Precisely. Like hearse has.
So I think you're safe.
Yep, you're 100% safe. If you got a line on a hearse, let me know. I want it. Barrel.
When I was 16, when I was in high school, I had Auto Trader magazine because I was going to get my license, and I was like, I need to buy a used car. I'm going to flip through Auto Trader, and I came across a ice cream truck, and I was like, all right, I don't want to drive an ice cream truck like for the rest of the year through my senior year of high school, but what if I got one just for a month? Like, and it was cheap. It was like, you know, any reasonable car was going to cost me $3,000, but the ice cream truck was like $1,600. And it was like, okay, I could probably buy it and a month later sell it for $1,600. So could I just drive an ice cream truck essentially for free, show up at school with the music playing? Maybe I'll even stock the freezer with ice creams that I buy at the liquor store or Costco, and show up at school just tossing them out to people. Like, how sick would that have been?
Most popular kid around. Yeah. But like, I'm barrel hearse, I'm barrel alternative transportation all in. Ice cream trucks, barrel, anything you can get that, like barrel stinking cherry picker, driving a cherry picker around, anything you got, drive it.
Totally. And this came from a listener, and he sent me a photo of the hearse that was actually parked in a parking lot. He must have just seen it, snapped the photo and sent it to me. But I agree with you. Like, thinking about a car as a lifelong decision it's silly. Yeah. Like a car is temporary. Just, have fun.
If you want to have a fun hearse for 3 months, drive a hearse for 3 months.
And I just made an argument that it's not going to be haunted. That's unfortunate. It'd be even better if it was haunted.
You could have like stinking anyone riding shoddy, your ghost friend riding shoddy. Unfortunately, they can't be. I feel we have definitively proved it, but
maybe if you leave a casket in the back.
Yeah, that's cool. Josh Hoyer. Let Josh Hoyer sleep in it.
Yeah, maybe. Man, Hoyer's gotten more airtime in the last couple episodes than he did through all the 90s. When analog was in its heyday, Hoyer didn't get this much airtime. And Quicksilver before it. Analog.
Yeah.
All right. Barrel or Nah, sucking water out of a ding. I grew up doing this, and I did it recently at the BSR cable park in front of some people, and they were appalled because they had never seen it before. Also, by the way, BSR stands for break surfboards regularly. I've dinged mine 5 times on the concrete bottom.
Total barrel sucking water out of a ding.
Total barrel, totally ineffective, by the way.
Completely ineffective. Like whatever you're sucking out, there's like tons more. You're getting nothing out, but that doesn't matter. Just the, I put it up with on the barrel level of throwing a sticker over your ding, any kind of like layman ding repair, I'm all about. And that is prime layman ding repair.
I agree. And the one caveat I had with this is cancer.
Yeah.
What are you going to ingest from the polyurethane foam that will be not great for you later, 20 years from now?
Everything, but it's not in amounts enough that are going to matter. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I mean,
if you're doing it daily, if you were like getting your entire water consumption, daily water consumption
from your
surfboards, then it'd be a problem. It'd
be a problem. But yeah, like, I love, it really does feel like a masculine thing to do, though, not to be unwoke here, but to like ding your board, get frustrated, put your mouth up to it and give it a big old suck.
Yeah, but I'm at a wave pool and I've got another session scheduled at 2:00. Yeah. So let's clear this thing out, slap a sticker on it, get back out there.
Off we go.
Barrel. Yep. Fully agree. This is kind of akin to the snake bite scenario. Like, if you get bit by a snake, I mean, what's more baller than that? You got to, first of all, use a pocket knife to cut it into a deeper slit, like an X around the snake bite, and then suck the venom out.
Sucking it out. Yeah.
That's as manly of a thing as you could possibly do.
Straight up barrel.
Full barrel. Okay, cool. Another listener wrote in and said, this happened to me twice. Barrel or not, burning a surfer just to go in. Another surfer headed in from their session, burned me, knowing that they aren't ever going to have to see me or apologize or get into a confrontation. So they just take off in front of me, surf the wave to the end, and then head into the beach and never look back.
Unfortunately, barrel. I've done it. You've done it. It's not barrel, but we all do it. I mean, like my last wave in, I don't care. I'll just paddle on whatever I want and just head to the beach.
All right.
It's barrel.
What if somebody does it to you?
Well, this is the thing. This is why it's barrel. This should be the free for all. If you see somebody do it, if somebody does it to you, you do it to somebody, this should be your last wave, should be whatever wave you want, right? Where if you're going in and somebody else isn't going in, then sweet. If you accidentally barrel, if you accidentally do it to somebody who's also going in and they catch the wave and then go in, then you got to take your licking, right? So there's like a little bit of a way, but I say, if you get burned by a dude going to the beach, you can feel that frustration, but if you see him run up the sand and whatever, salute. Like,
except
bro,
that's what it is. And
you get to do it too. You get to do it too. Like, if we all have that, if we're all able to do that on our last wave, that's great. Because there's always, if you're going to go out and catch another wave, then what are you complaining about? And if you're going to burn someone on your other wave, then what's your problem there? Pay it forward.
Yeah. So I kind of like it, but because I've been in a situation where, I mean, all the time I'm in the situation where I just want to go in. And it's like, as soon as you start getting desperate, it's actually worse. Like, you need to maintain a mindset of, I don't know, level-headedness, and sets seem to come to you. But as soon as you think to yourself, oh, I just want to go in, sets start coming, in-betweeners stop coming, everybody's on every wave, and you find yourself with nothing. And so then you get desperate and you burn somebody, I think, is what ends up happening. But I don't want to accept that as a reality. Like, I don't blatantly burn people, period, full stop. And so I don't want to create some sort of a special category where that becomes acceptable.
This is the special category that we all need to accept. If this is the only one.
There's too many people. There's too many people at my local beach break to where inevitably in any 5-minute window, somebody needs to go in. And so if you make this okay, then every single wave that I'm on, there's going to be somebody who is justified in burning me. And that's not okay.
Mm. You've caused me to pause here.
I feel like I get it. I know what that desperation feels like. But if you see me flying down the line and it's a good one, it looks like I'm actually like hitting my rhythm, back off. You can't go.
Oh, I'm not talking about, not that kind of burn, I suppose. I was thinking specifically just a paddle burn. Like we're both paddling, I'm on your outside, and sorry about it, I'm dropping
All
in.
right.
So I'm going in. That's what I
Maybe.
like. Never, no, not on. If somebody's cruising down the line, that is unsafe at any speed, unacceptable at any time.
I feel like even when you're desperate, you gotta earn it. You gotta earn. You want to go in. You're late for work. Your wife's giving labor. The Ultimate Surfer is coming on in 15 minutes. Whatever.
Thankfully,
it is,
the Ultimate Surfer is coming on so far after dark that nobody will be surfing.
At BSR Cable Park, they got the lights on. You can keep going.
But yeah, if somebody's down the line, that's inappropriate. But if you're paddling and somebody's paddling next to you, have at it. If you're going in, take it. Take that wave.
Hyper aggressive. Back paddle.
Do whatever you want.
All right. Well, we solved it. We solved it for the people.
You're welcome, people.
So you're in Mexico for 2 weeks, and then you're in the Mediterranean for 2 weeks?
Yeah. That's what it's looking like.
Nobody in Southern California needs you?
I think they do. No, who needs me? Nobody needs me. I'm a man of the world. I'm a man of the people and a man of the world.
I guess. Structure your life in such a way that you can do it from Zoom and on the road.
Isn't that what COVID taught us, man?
I guess so. I'm jealous.
Yeah. Come aboard.
All right. Well, I'm trying, dude.
Yep.
Working my heart. Yeah. I'm not far from Waco, but
yeah, sweet.
On the lake.
Perfect.
By the way, I've got a question for you. We got this dock, like a double-decker dock. So like a boat. What's that?
Is there a funitel? I mean, a funicular?
Funicular. There is, but it's broken. It's not working.
Okay.
So we have to take the stairs down. But the second level of the dock, the double-decker dock, is 20 feet up. And they have these swings. So you could swing off of it and launch yourself into the lake. And then there's a ladder that you climb to get back up to the second level if you want. I haven't climbed a ladder since I was in gym class when I was 10 years old, like a straight vertical ladder. Like I had 6-foot ladders where I change a light bulb or something. Climbing a ladder on day one after swinging off that thing 20 times, I am sore.
Oh yeah. I was going to say, come on, if you were feeling chicken about that.
No chicken. Just like I woke up yesterday on day 2 and I'm like, what is going on, dude? Like it's a legit workout. Climbing a ladder of all things.
It's either weird the amount of muscles you use as a kid and or the amount you don't use as an adult.
That's what it is. I become so complacent. Like surfing is good. But
you just do the same thing. Your surfing muscles don't get sore and they're fine and good. But once you use one muscle outside of the group that you typically use, you're done.
While I was climbing the ladder, I thought to myself, gosh, this is actually harder than I thought. And then I'd get to the top and I'd be a little winded before I went on my next swing. But day 2, I'm actually sore from it. And it sounds so embarrassing. Like climbing a ladder made me sore. But it's no joke. A 20-foot vertical ladder. It's no joke.
We should make this thing called CrossFit, where people do like a bunch of different exercises, lift weights, climb ladders, things like that in a gym space. CrossFit is what it'll be, cross-fitting them. I think it'll be a good idea.
$1 million idea.
Yeah.
Which won't even buy you a house in Southern California.
Nope. Sorry about it.
All right, Chaz. Well, hey, we are going to text next week to figure out if you have Wi-Fi and we can do another episodes. But if not,
I'm really shooting for Positano. So yeah, hopefully I'll be there.
I'll get Lauren to send a list of restaurant recommendations.
Fantastic.
All right, man. Safe travels. Don't get COVID. Don't get the Delta variant.
Ain't getting nothing. I'm just hoping that I can get through Newark.
Okay. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Until next week.
Get barrel.